there, Erin from Morehouse Farm here. Today's knitting tip is actually a crocheting tip, and I know that's straying far from where we normally go, but crocheting is a really handy way to add a beautiful edging to something and maybe put two pieces of fabric together, like with our pillow knit along. So I have a miniature version here of our easy pillow, but putting these two pieces together is just like you would for the pillow with contrasting trim. So you can use the same technique. Now, one thing you'll notice, I have an end here. All I want to do is tuck that inside so that nobody sees it. And I'm going to start by making sure I'm about a stitch in from the top. I'm going to grab my contrasting trim yarn and I'm going to pull it through first the work and then through a second loop. So into the loop I've already made. Now I'm going to move over one stitch. I'm going to do the same thing by going through both halves of the work. I'm going to grab that yarn again, and I'm going to grab the yarn a third time, almost like I'm making a yarn over with my knitting needles, and I'm going to pull that through the stitches. And that's going to give me that neat chain-like effect along the border. So again, skip a stitch, go through, grab the yarn, and then grab the yarn one more time. So it's kind of like binding off, but it's got an extra step in the extra piece here where you not just pull the stitch through and then loop it over, but you grab one more stitch, and that's how you add this chain looking border, which I think is pretty cool because it does resemble what a knitted bind off looks like. All right, so this is how I'm doing it when I'm along the vertical plane of the stitches, because I'm adding these two fabrics together from one edge. Now I've got to the corner, and what I want to do is poke my crochet hook through, and I'm going to do one stitch, but then I'm going to poke it through again, almost the same spot, and do another stitch, and then I'm going to poke it through again, almost the same spot, third time. And what I'm doing here is rounding the corner. So as you can see, there's 3 stitches. Oops, I misfired on that one a little bit. But now I've rounded the corner of this, so it looks a lot better than if I was to just abruptly stop and have a loose thread hanging here. All right, now I've got to the edge, which if you're doing in the garter version, you're gonna go every other row. You can see the garter stitch bumps, knowing that's a row, and then get to the next one. It's gonna be skipping a row because the garter stitch ridge falls to the other side. It's a little trickier when you're working with stockinette. And if you did the easy pillow and wanted to add the trim, I told you to add 4 stitches so that you could go to either side, because you need to have something substantial to grab onto. If I just had you grab this or one stitch, see how easily that pulls out? That looks pretty uneven. So you want to sneak in here in between the 2 columns of stitches, and you'll see that row of V's there and this row of V's here. I'm going in between them, and I should be coming out on the other side, same place, and I am. And that's where I'm going to anchor this as I continue crocheting the border around. Now that's a row, so I'm skipping a row. I'm going to add the crocheted border here, skip another row. And the reason I don't want to have it every row is that I don't want to bunch it up. We need a little bit of room for these guys to lay over top of each other. And I'll continue on just to finish off the row or the edge of this side. So it doesn't really matter whether you're adding 2 pieces of fabric together, crocheting them together, or whether you're adding a border embellishment. You could do the same thing on the edge of a headband if you wanted, or the trim edge of a sweater. Totally up to you. All right, so now I've got to my corner, and I'm going to do the same thing again, where I will go in once on the side, once to come over the corner itself, and once to start the new side. And there you have it, rounding the corner. That is how to put a crocheted edge trim on a piece of knitting. Enjoy, happy knitting from Morehouse Farm.